A few days ago, I sat in the African night with a few friends, very older friends, that one could describe as elder statesmen who are in the winters of their lives. And in the course of our evening conversations, reference after reference was made to a certain African strongman who is now at the helm of power in the landlocked West African state, Burkina Faso. I'm referring to no other person than Captain Ibrahim Traoré. These elder statesmen showed so much joy in their referencing of Ibrahim Traoré. One even described him as African savior, and another countered and said, no, Ibrahim Traoré is the African Messiah. And this made me to think. I began to wonder what Ibrahim Traoré has in stock for we Africans. And I also began to ask myself the fundamental question: who is Captain Ibrahim Traoré? Traoré, like I mentioned, is the Burkinabe leader and strongman, and leader of the revolutionary vanguard in that country. He's youthful at 35, and perhaps the youngest African leader that we have today. But beyond all of this, is an African strongman that has posed the new need for Africans to hope. He has given Africans the need to put a handle on that word hope. Hope that tomorrow or the future will be better than today, will be far better than the past. And what past or present am I talking about? And this is the context of my discourse today. The African present, in which hunger and malnutrition pervade the continent. In one long phrase, hunger and malnutrition have become pervasive in the African household. Take Nigeria, for example. For 3 years now, Nigeria has become the poverty capital of the world. And just recently, the country was announced as the capital of malnourished children in Africa. Take another context to the African present. There has been increasing insecurity across the length and breadth of the African continent. And there have also been increasing debts in many countries across Africa. Again, take Nigeria as an example. Just a few days ago, over 100 persons were washed away by flood in a small town called Mokwa in central Nigeria. As I speak, survivors are looking for bodies of their loved ones washed away by midnight flood. Amid the grief and misery of the people of Mokwa, the political leadership of Nigeria sat in Lagos, the former capital of Nigeria, wined and dined all night. What were they celebrating? The commissioning of 30 kilometers out of 974 kilometers of the coastal highway promised by the present government. And three, there has been increasing insensitivity of members of the political class, and of course the elite class of Nigeria, to the hunger that pervades Nigeria. And if you look across the length and breadth of Africa, 51% of deaths linked to terrorism happens in the Sahel: Mali, Niger, Chad, and Burkina Faso. And perhaps the fourth, the democracy that history promised Africans has not delivered dividends. In the aftermath of the Arusha Conference of 1990 and the Harare Conference of 1991, many Africans hoped that democracy will enthrone growth, prosperity, and of course, good livings for Africans. Almost 35 years of the democratization process taking its root in Africa, the so-called civil rule masked as democracy has not delivered dividends. Across the length and breadth of our continent, we have high levels of unemployment. Youths are out of jobs. Women and our sisters have become prostitutes across the cities and villages of our country, all in an attempt to eke out some semblance of living. Amid all of this, the political and elite classes continue to glorify in the luxury that they have captured for themselves, for their acolytes, and for members of their families. The GNI GDP of countries of Africa have dipped. Poverty stalks homes. Schools have either been shut down or are in terrible state across the length and breadth of Africa. Amid all of this again, we have African leaders who have surrendered the sovereignty of their countries to imperial powers of the West. No wonder in 2019, when 21 French soldiers were killed in Mali, Emmanuel Macron had to issue a summon to African leaders to appear in Paris to answer to the circumstances of the death of different soldiers. On top of these, African natural resources have been hawked to businesses and companies in metropolitan Europe and the Americas. Africans have been made to battle from the little they eke out of their lives to buy expensive goods produced out of these natural minerals that are either stolen or auctioned by African leaders and their acolytes in the West. This is the context in which Ibrahim Traoré arrived at power in Burkina Faso. For a young soldier who had experienced war, who had experienced the ineptitude of the civil political leadership of his country, who has also observed acute and stark opportunism of politicians of his country and across Africa. He has chosen to give Africa not only hope, and Africans not only the need to hope, but to dream of a better, prosperous Africa of tomorrow. Whenever he speaks, he invests hope. Whenever he talks, he draws the attention of Africans wherever they are, of blacks in the diaspora, on the need for the continent to be self-sufficient, on the need for the continent and its leaders and its people to become self-empowering. He has given Africans the need, and he continues to present to Africans the need to be superior, not only in their thinking, but in the way they act. Today, across countries on the Sahel belt, citizens have begun to show joy, to celebrate, because their countries have seen the trajectory, the direction to growth, to prosperity, and more importantly, a future defined and shaped by leadership that has invested hope in them. Traore's politics hasn't been about all talk and no action. In the past few years that he arrived at power in Burkina Faso, he has nationalized the gold mines of his country, and he has successfully removed the exploration of the natural resources of his country for new imperial powers. And two, he has created a national support center for the processing, of cottons in his country. He has developed programs for agricultural investment, and more importantly, as the statistics currently show, since 2019, the level of poverty in Burkina Faso has deepened from 83% in 2018 and 2019, and over just slightly over 27% in 2023-2024. For a country or a continent that was promised hope, and a continent where hopelessness has now been enthroned, for a country and a continent that were told that democracy will bring growth, prosperity, and self-empowerment, are for a continent that continues to experience the hollowing out of democracy. This young man, Ibrahim Traoré, gives Africans the need for hope and the cause to dream of a prosperous and better Africa of tomorrow. He may not be the Messiah that Africans desire, but who is the Messiah after all? Is that individual who invests hope in you as a citizen, who presents to you the true path to progress and growth, and who lives in honesty and with a desire to ensure that his country is not left behind by countries of the world. This is who Ibrahim Traoré is to many Africans, whether old or young. God bless you all.